Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Omni viewer, and there's a little bit of Looney Tunes news that's a couple days old at this point, but in case you missed it, I think it is worth sharing. So, we all remember the controversy around Coyote versus ACME, right? Last year it was announced that this was a movie that was all set to go. A live-action animation hybrid based on a joke article from the New York Times, I believe it was, about the Wile E. Coyote finally taking the ACME Corporation to court. And it was a star-studded cast. Everybody who's spoken about it said that it was a piece that they were really proud of, and it was complete, all set to go. Canceled. No release for it. The new heads of Warner Brothers after the merger with, what was it, AT&T, I think? Yeah. They basically said, nope, we're gonna just write this off for tax reasons and we're not gonna release it. They did that with a lot of stuff, particularly animated stuff. But there was still a chance initially that the movie could get sold to another distribution place. There were places like Amazon Prime and Netflix and all these different places that were making offers, apparently, to get this movie out there, take it off of Warner Brothers' hands, but all of those offers were declined for some reason. And for a while, it seemed like that was it. The movie had officially been Batgirled. No matter how interesting it sounded, no matter how much the people who were involved with it praised it, no matter how much fan demand there was, it wasn't going to see the light of day. Or was it? Gradually over time, the answer of will we ever see Coyote versus ACME has shifted from definitely not ever to, well, maybe. And this latest bit of news is what I wanted to share. This is what just dropped. Voice actor Eric Bauza, who does a lot of the voice acting for Looney Tunes these days, and in fact is voicing both Porky Pig and Daffy Duck in the upcoming movie The Day the Earth Blew Up, was asked about if Coyote vs. ACME ever stands a chance. And here's what he said, paraphrasing a little, but what he said was, if The Day the Earth Blew Up does well, then maybe Coyote vs. ACME will have a chance. He also said that if it doesn't do well, he'll just start handing out DVD copies, although he was very quick to say that he was joking. Now, on the one hand, maybe that sounds like a good thing, right? It makes sense. You see the connection. In order for Coyote vs. ACME to have a chance, The Day the Earth Blew Up has to do well financially. Even though it's not a Warner Brothers release anymore, they sold it off to Ketchup Entertainment, and no, I hadn't heard of them before either. They're still keeping an eye on it because it's their characters. They did originally foot the bill for this whole thing. So they're paying attention. They want to see how this movie does. They're basically just letting someone else take the financial hit if it doesn't do well. And of course, that's the incentive, right? The studio needs incentive to release Coyote vs. ACME because the last Looney Tunes movie they released, Space Jam: A New Legacy, didn't do all that well. So, as far as they're concerned at this point, movies with the Looney Tunes are box office poison, unless The Day the Earth Blew Up does well. However, that's a two-way street, isn't it? It's not just that the studio needs incentive to release Coyote vs. ACME based on how The Day the Earth Blew Up does, it's that we, the audience, need incentive to see The Day the Earth Blew Up. You know, Space Jam 2 didn't fail because nobody wants to see the Looney Tunes. That's far from the case. That movie failed because it wasn't a movie. It was a feature-length commercial. There were other things against it, sure, but that's the really big thing that still remains true no matter what else can be said about the surrounding circumstances. Nobody wanted to see that. They wanted to see the Looney Tunes being the Looney Tunes. So that's why it failed. Now, The Day the Earth Blew Up has to actually be good if we're going to see it, right? If we're going to support it. And I'll just be blunt about it. The idea of sort of telling people that they'll get to see Coyote versus ACME, possibly, I need to make it clear, Bowser did not say that Coyote vs. ACME will be released if The Day the Earth Blew Up succeeds. He said it might happen. So it's not even a solid chance. But getting back to the point I was about to make, holding that over our heads, saying if you want to see Coyote vs. ACME have its day in court, if you will, you gotta support Looney Tunes The Day the Earth Blew Up, I think the word for that is extortion. That's what it feels like, you know. Pay the ransom so we'll release this other thing, if the studio feels like it. Yeah, I don't necessarily feel good about that. I'm not gonna... Look, I don't know how the movie's gonna turn out. All the early buzz from people who saw it at that one film festival over in Annecy, they said it was amazing, like one of the best movies ever. Early buzz is calling it a masterpiece. The trailers have me a little curious about if that could possibly be the case, because I realize it's a trailer, but they seem to be highlighting stuff that makes me wonder, this is a masterpiece? Really? But I'm still pulling for it in the long run. I don't want to see it fail, but it's got to be good in order for me to say it didn't fail. You know, I'm not going to stand here if I don't like it and lie to you and say I did, or nor am I going to say that it was bad, but we should throw money at it anyway because then The Prisoner might be released. But if it is good, of course, then we can talk about supporting it. So at this point, things are still up in the air. I guess the big takeaway is that maybe Coyote vs. ACME isn't completely dead in the water. Like I said, the answer has slowly been shifting away from no to possibly. And if it continues in that trend, we might eventually get it to yes, it will be released somehow. I'm honestly surprised it hasn't leaked at this point. But overall, this is where we're at right now. Everybody's paying attention to see what will happen with The Day the Earth Blew Up. If it succeeds, and it's already made some money because it did get a limited release here and there was the film festival and everything, but if it succeeds, that might be a good sign for the future. But at this point, we still don't really know. Only time will tell. We will see what happens come St. Patrick's Day. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.